Hello, welcome to this new Retool tutorial. Have you wondered what are the differences between the table, button, column, and the row action? How can you use them better? How can you enable your users to take actions? What are the differences, the pros and cons and advantages of using one over the other? Well, in this video, I hope to reply to some of those questions and help you decide what is the best functionality to use in your table. Let's dive in. Okay, so this is a simple app where I just have a table component. I am using the demo data. So first, let's just frame the two functionalities. First is the table column, which is also a button, which you can just go to the format and search for a button. So you will see here button, and that's a button. That is a table button column, let's call it that. And then you have row action, which is an action one, and that it will actually appear always at the end of the row. They both interact as buttons where you can click and you can trigger events after the click. Let's talk about formatting. The button, you have text, so you can actually change the color of the text to make it more visible, and the button color as well. You can just put different kind of colors to draw the attention to your users. Then let's just remove this so that it just remains the same. You can add prefix icons and suffix icons. So it also you're formatting and adding a more stylish, and you can use the default icons to help users understand what that button is. The same as other icons as suffix, you can add delete. So that really helps you format your button, and then you can pin the column. So it makes it also be at the right the whole time. So if I add another column and I have to start scrolling, so I'll just put tags or teams. I know that was another right. So now I have to scroll, but the button is pinned at the right. So that is always there. If we look at the row action, there isn't much about styling. You have the label, which action one, you're going to write it there, but actually it was just going to be on hover. So you cannot add text, it's just going to be on hover. You cannot change the color, at least not directly here. You can do it through CSS, and the position will always be the same. So in terms of formatting, the button is a little bit more than the row action. Okay, now there are a couple of caveats in the button formatting. One of the things I find inconvenient about the button is that if I decide to use the table's automatic column width, which I do often, then the size of the button will be decided by that. So it will not be consistent. It could be big, it could be small, depending also on the user screen. So that is a disadvantage that I found with using the button column. And then another thing is a pro tip that I wanted to share with you is the button. If you wanted just an icon, like for the row action, you could, if you remove the text, it will disappear, but you can just add a space and then you will have just an icon there. So that is just a quick workaround that I use, so you can have just that. And you have just now a button, it has it pinned, and it kind of gives the same feel as the row action. Okay, so that was formatting. Let's now look how dynamic they can be. And I can already tell you that the row action is more dynamic and more flexible than the column button. This is mostly because the row action allows you to use the current row variable. So you can use current row or current source row to disable it, hide it, change the icon, change the color. So for example, you can say if let's use row, where is it row? If current source row is equal to editor, then it will be disabled. So if you go here, you can see that in this row, this is disabled, and whereas the other ones, it is not. So that allows you to make it more dynamic. And the same thing goes for hidden, so you can hide it. So here you will see that on this row they appear, but on the editor one they won't. You actually have noticed how making that has actually removed the space that was on the right. So just bear that in mind. If you have a button here like this, then you won't be able to use this unless you have another row action that is always visible. Then you will have that space on the right. And the same thing goes for the icon. So you can change the icon based on that. So you can the current row source editor, then it will be this one, then you will do this one. If not, then you will do this one, for example. Let me just remove this. So now you can see the icon change. Oh, let me just unhide it. So now the icon is different based on a rule that you have set up from information taken from that row. So that enables you to change that, something that you cannot do on the column. On the column button, if you hide it, then it will be hidden. You cannot use current row. So there's no way of making it dynamic based on the information of a row. You can either hide it completely because it's a column. This setting regards to the column. So you will be able to use that, but not as dynamically as you can about buttons. But that is much about it. The way I use them, I usually use a combination of both. I will leave the column for actions that are recurrent and that users will be taking often, mostly view the details of the item or edit, and then leave the row actions for actions that are less frequent, like archive or delete, if that's the case, and then you can disable them based on logic rules within the row. This video helps you to decide what to use when you are using tables, what buttons to use, and